In 2019, the Respawn studio surprised everyone by showing that they can make not only Call of Duty wall-running clones, but also cool third-person action games with a well-developed campaign, graphics and a cool combat system. Everyone of course liked it, and since its publisher is a company that does everything no means to shake the money, a continuation has got into development, which recently visited our electronic devices. Whether the Respawn managed to fall into the same puddle for the second time, or they crapped their pants this time, find out right now. The game begins with our main character Cal being taken to some kind of prison. Since the plot of the first part completely flew out of my head, I won't even try to remember how he got into this prison. But what I can remember from the first game is the mega fucking music in the very first scene. Right there we have silence, which will accompany us quite often in this game. Something will play in the background from time to time, but these are melodies that serve only to fill the silence and generally cannot be compared with that was the Fallen Order. And about the classic Star Wars intro with plain text, which is also not here, I generally keep quiet. And while this first cutscene is going on and throughout the game, you can notice with the naked rare eye how beautifully the FPS jump up and down. The textures are loaded directly on our eyes, and the doors with a long time for the room behind to load. This of course is fun from what they said about the game on release, how it puts a 4090 tightly, but now everything works more or less playably on a weaker video card. And at the same time the lags on the computer were always warm. But I still put a in because optimization also on the old Unreal, which developers should already know very well, is still not so good. And for $70 I would like to see the game in normal polished form. Despite the fact that Cal learned a huge number of skills the first game, now only the most elementary skills are available to him. And he will have to learn everything else all over again. Moreover, he will remember many skills just at random moments by itself, as well as various variations of the sword and its parts and BD parts, which all went somewhere, and we have again one single one-handed option, and we still have to open all the rest. Apparently some kind of Jedi sclerosis and destruction. And from the good in a combat system you can notice quite beautiful dismemberment of opponents. It doesn't always happen, but when it does, it's beautiful. As the first meeting with the Stormtroopers attack, they demonstrate the very accuracy of shooting that they are famous for. For the observance of the cannons, I will remove one scene. Why not meditate in the middle of an enemy base, where at any moment one of the stormtroopers can stumble upon you? The developers apparently heard my complaints about not very convenient map in the Fallen Order, and therefore they added assistance in navigation that tell you how best to get to the goal. These assistants have serious problems, but we will get to them later. In the meantime, I'll just remove one scene for the fact that now I don't have to circle the location for hours, not understanding where I need to go. While running around the locations, you can hear sound coming from the gamepad from BD, and not only. And if I would play on a console, I would not surprise me at all. But I have never seen anything like this in a game on the computer, so this is commendable. Cal, I'm not forcing you to do anything, but maybe, I don't know, will you use your strengths so that you don't get shot now?
To move like that.
Developers of Titanfall thought, but they taught him to run only on central walls. For some reason his legs refused to stick to everyone else. Why can't he climb down any wall like this? He just sticks his sword into the wall. Does that require a certain word surface? His elbow and ass are fucked up. Why does this electrical discharge on the floor only damage opponents? Of course I understand that you are trying to fix the graphics hook, but why cook your hand for this?
That one was BD. Just the two of you.
On the very first mission, when we first met new characters, they decided to kill almost all of them, which I kind of have to emphasize with, and cry from the deaths, but I saw them in a frame for no more than 1 minute, so for some reason I don't give a shit about their deaths. According to what laws of physics did somersault occur, and why does the hero dies in the gameplay when falling from the same height, even using somersault? In the gameplay I fought this boss with one-hand sword, but the cutscene decided that it would be better to let me have a two-handed sword in my hands, which Cal will hold in one-handed.
Learn a new trick.
The ninth sister, apparently, just like me, got sclerosis and forgot that I already had such a trick in first game. And I can only carry two variations of the sword with me all the time, because on the go I can divide the two-sided sword into the one-handed one, or hide the second sword and use one. Cal for some reason does not know how. When I re-entered the game, I found that I could not miss a single intro, because it is very interesting for me to watch the same logos of the creators 50 times in such long game.
You know, it's not often I break out an all family recipe like this.
From these videos, I should catch a feeling of nostalgia for the old days from the first game, but I find myself thinking more about what other compromising evidence this BD could have on us when we didn't know about it and didn't give the concert of this. But despite my stupid jokes, these videos are still managed to convey a feeling of nostalgia and lampness. The customization of our sword has remained almost unchanged. It is still possible to customize every little detail in it. And also I still don't see any point of this, given that in the game the sword is tiny and almost always convert in scale hand. Nevertheless, some of the fans will like to build swords similar to those that were in the films. And where he found so many Jedi crystals to create a beam of absolutely any color will remain a mystery. Customization of BD is more interesting since we really see it in the frame, and it's really nice to watch its modifications. Well, I generally keep quiet about the clothes and hairstyles of the hero. Constantly in the game I will find something, update his appearance and also buy some clothes in stores, and Kel will always look fresh and unusual. But as good as it all is, I can't help but notice that I just found my beard in a drawer. I have some questions about the main character's hair, and I'm not talking about the fact that they are orange. I've already come to terms with this. I'm more about lightning, which somehow illuminates them very stagely, as if spotlights are directed to them from all sides. It doesn't always happen, but it does happen.
Take a look at that view. Is that a giant crater? Wow. I got it so easy. Guard the cliff, crush the locals, look at the scenery. Nobody's getting past me, not without a blaster hole in him. I wonder if I'll get promoted for doing such a good job. Then I'll get the other droids to guard the cliff. Oh, but then I won't see the scenery. Now that's a dilemma.
Every time I pass by a droid that can see me, I can deny myself the pleasure of listening to their monologue to the very end, because these monologues or dialogues range from cute to almost freaking funny each one.
Another base for the Bedlam Raiders! We're unstoppable! Those other droids here are such chumps. They do whatever we say. Suckers. You'll never catch me taking orders like that. No way, not me. I mean, unless it was Ravis, in which case, well, obviously. I'd sooner be broken down for scrap than get pushed around by anyone else.
The head and hands of the protagonist are now perfectly visible from eyes of that droid.
May the Force be with you.
It's a droid, what fucking force?
Some help would be most appreciated.
I would love to help you, but this cable in which you are entangled did not manage to find the cutting animation for itself, and therefore when you try to cut it, it will not even budge thing. At this moment I got a little stuck and could not figure out how to bring the blue sphere to the platform, when interacting with which I will make a bridge through other which I will pass further. After a while I was offered a hint so that I would not be dumb for a long time. Let's all listen together how this hint sounds.
Looks like the orbs activate these bridges.
Thank you so much for suggesting that I already know, but something more useful cannot be added to the hint was show. What's more, it's not just one time. I managed to get stuck about 4 times, probably at different points in the game, and each time in the tooltip I was told the same obvious thing that did not help in showing the puzzle.
We'll need to create our own door out of here.
Mind if I take a look?
Well, I must admit, I am in need of repair.
How will welding a single piece of the legs fix the rusted gears in a knee? That is not where you are currently welding at all.
I'm a friend of Cal Kestis.
Cal, what's it? Look, I told you, buddy, you're in the wrong cantina. I don't know anybody named Cal Kestis.
Hey, Grease.
Oh, that Cal Kestis.
That 4-armed Grandpa Graves is still as hot as was before, and I will personally come and kill the developer who decided to cut him from the 3rd game.
She was trapped underground.
I've never seen this design before. This droid almost looks like an antique.
An antique that hasn't used a single battery in 200 years of burial. I have no idea what logic robot works in the Star Wars universe, but there must be some kind of power source inside them, and like any handmade power source, it cannot be eternal. By cutting a plant like this, I can then plant in my garden so that it grows there, because if you cut a plant with a lightsaber, it won't burn the fuck up by any means. By the way, I did not understand the meaning of this garden. At the levels I collect seeds, plant them in the beds, they grow, and that's it. Why waste time on this is not very clear. In an attempt to land the Cal's shoulder, BD decided to disable on physical functions. Well, either turn off the animations of the Twinkie from the holes when it flies. A clear example of the fact that a mask with such a side bullshit significantly impairs the vision of one who wears it. Well, either he tries to prevent he doesn't see me, and if he doesn't see me, that I don't see him either, which is very logical and looks like the truth. his hands are fucked. We're in the game without bottomless pits, instead of which the developers were too lazy to draw a texture of some surface. This hippo killed me, and after I return to him, I have to step on the yellow beam of urine so that my XP returns to me. I returned, but didn't see any pissed beam here.
That feels better.
Fucking junkie.
Great time to change up our equipment.
Also great time to hand out.
I think that creature is trapped. I can't cut it free.
You are deeply mistaken, Cal. Having seen enough of the first saw, I can tell you with confidence that getting out of such a trap is quite simple and almost painless. By the way, this dinosaur's fur looked like something that could have come on sometimes in 2005. If Cal can recruit these beings to the point where they'll never be against us again, why can't he do the same for the other freaks who are drugged by his dragon for a few seconds? And this intoxication does not work on the large monsters at all. Also, their intelligence, it seems to me, is not greater than those who are smaller. And as for this flying freak, I would like to say that watching how he takes us to the other side without flapping his wings, I had a question about why the hell does he need wings if he doesn't use them. Of course, I have a little understanding of severed limbs and their healing, but as far as I know, after this part of the body has become cut off, is far from healing as eventually as a piece of increased sausage. Here I must say the problems with the local navigation assistant began. Going a little in the wrong direction, going down the elevator, the navigator began to show me that I need to go back to the beginning to location, which I so naively believed, followed these signs and got lost safely. In the end, the navigator began to show me this flyer, after the flight on which the navigator will tell me to go back to this flyer and so on a vicious circle. But when I returned back, the navigator suddenly began to show the place I really need to go to. Why the fuck couldn't do this before? This is one of those cases when I would have been able to figure out when to go if I hadn't been distracted by navigator but just look around a bit. Outstanding. For some reason this dinosaur will only be able to go through this fence if breaks it by its own. If I break it or if no one breaks it, it won't be able to go any further. When my hands are busted crawling on some surface, BD will inject me with a first aid kit on his own, but during the battle he will give it to me, and I will be distracted from the battle and opening myself up for the attack. I will inject into myself. That's what, and I didn't expect a collaboration with a rooster from Final Fantasy in Star Wars. Fall dying animation is great. As I understand it, it has become popular in modern games with ray tracing disabled. Do not naturally draw reflections in mirrors, because why bother extra? Only rogues will weak the video cards will see this.
I don't want to know how this got there.
And I don't want to know why you got the idea to rummage through the toilet. In the Star Wars universe there are no hairdressers, and therefore you buy your hair in the same store where you buy clothes. It seems to me that while moving at supersonic speed, unbuckled and unsupported Cal should have been flooded somewhere in the back of the ship. The worm that ate me revived me in the same place where I was, but already without him with slightly reduced health. And why is everyone so afraid of him, it's not clear. The same with this crap. Ate, spot, and disappeared. Even the shitty stormtrooper thought of using jetpack to make it easier to move around the location. But our main character will never get it, because if he put the jetpack on himself, half of the puzzles would fucking break.
Everybody's got rockets except me.
Not stuck, are you?
What kind of stepsister do you take me for? Pieces of door flying through Cal should have flattened him on the floor. In the future, this humanoid woman will create teleports for us through which we can make our way through insurmountable obstacles. Why can't she do this now? Somehow I feel like walls don't work like that. For some reason it seems to me that the air does not work like that. Why do you want to take revenge on the half-meter cockroaches? Sitting on this short-legged horse, I noticed that while running it, the Force DualShock began to very desperately try to repeat the same vibration of the DualSense, vibrating every time this weirdo powerfully steps on the ground. He repeats rather crippled, given his outdated motors, but when a legless invalid tries to get on his feet, you don't tell him that he is bad for it, do you? Our arsenal was updated with a new weapon, which is a pistol, which I used a whole one time. I realized that it was completely meaningless, uncomfortable and inferior to the two-handed sword in everything, and I never returned to it. And what's more, even if you change the stand with the pistol for someone else, the pistol will still remain in Cal's holster, but he won't be able to use it because the two-stand religion does not allow him. Throughout the game, quite often Cal's clothes or some of the hangings of the backpack will constantly try to get as far away from him as possible, which he will not allow them, which in my opinion is an infringement of the rights of the clothes and pendants who want to be free. I don't quite understand how the blocking system works in the game. It turned out to be quite successful in repelling shots, no matter how many of them fly at me, but here a sword flying at me, no matter how I try to block it, Cal will only repel it when he wants to, and it's not clear by what logic. And this is not the only problem of the combatic article for which I have questions. I would also like to complain about the long animations of strikes, which are undeniably beautiful and varied, but during them I cannot press the dodge key, and therefore when the enemy is about to perform the red attack that my strikes do not jam, I can defend myself in any way and my animation has not ended. I certainly don't understand anything about electricity, but it seems to me that if it's so close to the metal platform that I hold on to with my hands, it is absolutely not necessary for me to meet this electricity right up close, in order for it to me fucked up. It's enough to just keep holding on this metal platform. Of course, I understand that a powerful sword does more damage and it's slower, this is logical, but how can having it in my hands affect my stamina level? And even if I can, it's more likely the opposite direction. All the same, it's hinders to showing a big sword than an ordinary one. The fight with this Mandalorian is a pretty dull. He doesn't let you get close to him, and therefore all you do during this battle is beat off his shots and jump away from the grenades and powerful shots, or like me, courageously take these blows on yourself for several minutes. A voluptuous female S in the game of 2023 is such a rarity that I'll probably even remove one scene for preventing such red book look.
Drop by the saloon? No. Help you get a jump on those hunters.
Because why would we try to hit the lips when mixing, right? This is the saddest and funniest thing I've ever seen. There will be 4 such puzzles with the search for the sphere I need to reroll, and they are normal in themselves, only if you need to exit the game when it crashes, then all these puzzles will have to go through a new one. The same puzzle that I already know the solution to perfectly, and so I just have to run through them and not meet any obstacles in front of me. What was the problem with saving the game after each one so that the game wouldn't waste my time?
Welcome, Jedi. Enemies of peace threaten the galactic frontier and our republic. Once we cross the abyss, Tanalor could be a bastion to repel that threat.
How discreet the ancient Jedi were to put speakers all over the caves so that someone passing dude would get bored walking by. Just like in the first game, if there are opponents at war in front of you, you can just stand on sidelines and wait until they kill each other. This sphere could easily squeeze into the hole, but then the puzzle would break. Judging by the textures and lighting, this thing is very similar to glass, but I can't put my goo on it. I wandered around this brothel, indulged with my friends. Immediately after that I ran into my ship, which is standing nearby, and it turned out to be all the same dudes that I just watched in the strip club. They move fast.
I'm about to go to Taco Bell and get me a box.
Arriving on the planet that I had already been on, I decided to save a little time or moving and use the fast travel. Sat down at the nearest meditation place and found out that the fast travel could be used in the very place for I can meditate on ship. Why? Not clear. I wanted to jump on top of the attack aircraft to kill him, but the game decided that I needed to turn into a matrix.
You should check out the Kobo system. Everything grows there.
Sounds lovely. Perhaps I will.
Just tell the bartender of Highland Saloon I sent you. He'll get you set up.
Yes, because it worked so well last time.
I don't know anybody named Cal Keston.
This wind is so strong that it blows Cal off in the Jedi instantly, but on his feet he doesn't even flinch from it. This is a person who is blown away by a wind in real life, so I know what I'm talking about. Another breeze blew Cal so hard that he was hit in a flashback in which he talks to a black woman from the first part about he need to believe in yourself and believe in strength. After which I got the skill jerk during fight. How it is connected with this cutscene in which not a word was said about it, and why did he decide to remember this skill right now? Speaking with a lively voice after a deadly object has presented you is not very beautiful. Who, why and for what purpose placed the force fields on the wall? I tend to believe that when a ship crashes, it should not be jostled like a flash under speed. Dude's eyesight is amazing.
Do you trust me?
Yes.
Apparently the ability to move through the green teleport is transmitted by airborne droplets, otherwise I didn't understand why she suddenly decided to kiss him. Or did she think she couldn't do it right now and kiss him in case he didn't survive this flight and didn't get another chance to kiss? What prevented Cal from running a little further and chopping off a slightly large piece of his body from this robot?
Dagon murders them over it.
Jedi,
killing other Jedi.
Surprisingly familiar story, right? If you hang on the bar for too long, Cal will start to fuck with his horizontal bar ability to hang on one arm without standing a bit. Whether it's possible or not, I don't know, but I'll put a sin because I don't know how to do it. I can't even do it with two hands. This is something like in most cases the help of our allies in battle look like. Hit once and do nothing else. Of course I understand that I can command him to attack, but his abilities recharge after use, and our partner will still often sit down. What did the wall do to you? Either this guy got an X-ray vision, or he just decided to try random walls for fun, behind which Cal was not even audible.
Nice one, BD.
And how BD could shot this box with such a force, of course they won't show us. This new ability of ours to lower or raise objects is inconvenient as hell for two reasons. The first is that all the time, when there are a lot of opponents in the location, it will aim at anything except what I need to aim. And the second is the R1 button, which in half the cases did not want to register, and instead in order to raise the lower object, I either jumped or used my powerful attack. It's certainly not visible here, but judging by the location of the red sword, Cal's strength is so strong that it is possible to defend against it simply by holding a weapon in front of him. I can hook onto these things in the future with some new upgrade. Why can't I hook them with new hook I have now? I have no idea. At this fucking moment I got stuck for quite a long time, because I didn't realize that this ball should be intercepted through the second crack in the glass, but it doesn't matter, okay, I'm a fool, don't notice. But while I was running around here and stupid, I have a few questions for the game, which if they existed, all these gamma would not have happened. So, why can't I crouch down and crawl through the hole? Why can't I force this platform to be level? Why can't I completely break this glass with my lightsaber and humanly take the orb? Why can't I start my showdown on this combat so that ball rolls slower and I can reach the gap? Well, as for why the tips are useless, I already said, it is not worth repeating. The lightsaber is such a powerful contraption that the gun's severed hand after being cut off completely ever dropped.
I've been waiting for this. For 200 years! In Azkaban!
What prevented him from cutting off his legs right away instead of his hand? In case Cal accidentally loses his sword, he has another one hanging on the belt just in case, in the same place where the first one hung. To be honest, I'm even tired of joking about standing opponents in the air, so often they do this.
There's nothing to see here. Your eyes must be playing tricks on you.
There's nothing to see here. My eyes must be playing tricks on me.
Quite so, sir.
The fact that I drugged the stormtrooper and he believed what I said is understandable, but why the droid I didn't enchant didn't say anything against it?
The Jedi! Get ready to die!
My laughter after this shortless boss fight in the history continues even now, 2 days after I saw it in the game. This thing that you throw and they turn into trampoline cannot be moved with the help of the force. After they have already opened, also nothing seems to interfere with this movement. Having a multiple copies of the boss during the fight, that is a bit a cliché, isn't it, Al-Mulim?
No! How does it feel to know that you're about to die?
A little irritatable. I'll have to run to you again, a new one, and you will again have a full health. Not very cool. It wouldn't be a complete 2023 game if at least one of the characters didn't change the gender of the ones, albeit not for long. Chasing this corridor on a motorcycle is pretty cool, but now I'm wondering why we weren't allowed to ride this before. It would be much easier to cover long distances on it instead of those roosters.
If you want to keep your family safe, you get them out of there. Right now.
What have you
But this turn actually made my jaw drop. Died without a doubt. But fuck, there aren't even scratched. How convenient that this pass under the ball is exactly the position, so the ball, having traveled along it, flew clearly to the walker, moreover twice in a row. And of course, where should Star Wars be without the greatest villain of all time, Darth Vader? This villain, as for me, has not completely exhausted himself from excessive appearance in all kinds of films and games, and he is still cool and awesome. And accordingly, the battle with him is long, powerful, hard, and of course with the very motives from which I had an orgasm all over my body. This boss is so powerful that he was able to kill not only me, but also my computer for the company, putting it down so much that even the task manager or Alt F4 could not help. Also, this is an optimization feature, it turned out quite symbolically. Also, here is the animation of his cloak, from time to time a little shitty. One of the popular things in modern games I noticed is the lack of the checkpoint reload button, instead of which you need to go to the main menu and continue the game from there. Intrigue is just fucking intriguing. Here I am sitting straight and biting my nails. Did she really kill Darth Vader?
Nothing. Damn it! Cal. The signal.
If you hit the computer, it will definitely work, cliché.
You're a Jedi. I know what you are capable of. And what you are not.
You didn't know that he was able to move objects with the power of thought? Literally the most basic feature of the Jedi. I wonder how no one could see the Jedi sword on me while I was walking around the ship like a hitman. Because there was no sword on him.
Cal!
Why are you here?
Why do you think? I'm rescuing you!
Not doing well.
Did it, you three-armed son of a gun dart!
When did he manage to lose one of his arms?
I don't like it here. It's dark and lonely.
You don't have to be afraid. Better?
It's not better. As it was dark, it remains dark, just now with a slightly green tint. So far I've had some empathy for Baudet, and maybe even started to understand his motives and a little, and just like Cal was ready to forgive his betrayal, but it all ended in a final battle. This fucking thing lasted, without the slightest bit of exaggeration, 2 fucking hours. Darth Vader was fucking easier to beat than this fucking Indian, and in most of the battle it's still badly overpowered somehow. Then here is the final stage, it's just bullshit, during which I was already ready to kill his daughter at the same time, so he stopped me. And our girl doesn't help either, who helped us in the first bit of the battle, and with her help it was possible to immobilize him from time to time. But a little later she said that she would hide and attack from the shadows. What would she do? Fucking twice. What the point in such a fucking assistant? This whole fucking boss fight killed all my interest in emphasizing with the characters in a really good and touching engaging, during which I still had shortness of breath with tremor after the battle. Here the director's cut is not needed in order to understand who actually shot first. And well, despite the impression spoiled by the boss, the game still turned out to be insanely cool, improving and multiplying everything that was cool in the first game. They fucked up with the technical part, of course, but without this, one can say no word today. Anyway, they'll fix it and soon everything will be fine. In the meantime, we are waiting for the release of the third game. Subscribe to the channel so as not miss to the video on it, like, repost and comment this video.